Hello, it's Maggie, the Cheshire Crafter here. I'm in Southport. I'm in the Duke's Folly Hotel, which is one of my favourite hotels in Southport. And I've been out this evening to the Atkinson Theatre and Gallery on Lord Street in Southport. I've been to see a show that's on tour around the UK, and before it got here, it's actually travelled around from Scotland and Wales into England, and it's going to go on into July, and I believe that they've added more tour dates because it's been so successful. I'm going to put details down below so that you can take a look at their website. It's called the Walk Right Back Tour. Now, it's a show that tells the story with the music of the Everly Brothers, who were very popular in the 50s and 60s and influenced so many other artists. The show itself is about 2.5 hours long, and I paid £25 for my ticket, and I think that was money well spent to watch a really good show, a story very well taught, with live music, with music from 6 musicians. Now, as you know, Phil and Don have influenced so many of the rock and roll artists, including the Beatles, and Paul McCartney had to get his name in there somewhere. I had to leave before the end because I booked a taxi, and a song that Paul McCartney wrote for them is the song that I left on, and it was called Wings of a Nightingale. I don't think I've heard that before, but I'll look it up. Now, the 2 main singers that played Phil and Don, one's an American and one's an Englishman from Woking, which is Surrey, I think, harmonised beautifully. What a really good pairing that was. Now, if you like the melodies of the Everly Brothers music, you'll really appreciate the way that these 2 got together. They're very good guitarists too, but got together to put those harmonies across to the theatre audience, who really appreciated it. Now, the musicians in the background doubled up. So in order to tell the story, the pianist, who also plays the guitar very well, played the role of Buddy Holly, and he did that admirably, and I liked him. But most of all, the one that stole the show for me is the guy that played 2 roles. He's a lead guitarist, and he played the role of Chet Atkins. Now, he's somebody that really influenced George Harrison as a guitarist. Now, the other role he played was Eddie Cochran. And I really appreciated the fact that he could both sing and really perform to the audience. And he sang 20 Flight Rock, which is the song that Paul McCartney impressed John Lennon with. And you could see the influences going right the way through and around the world, but they influenced lots of rock and roll artists. And I'll come back to some of those that they influenced later. When they toured around the world, the harmonies that they had, the 2-part harmonies, influenced the Bee Gees. And of course the Bee Gees had 3-part harmony like the Beatles did. Of course, they came up against the British invasion and their popularity failed. And at one point, Don linked up with, or was it Phil? I'll have to check my facts. Linked up with Cliff Richard to have a hit. But over the performance that they did today, they told the story from the family's perspective and the rise and fall, and then reprise with a concert at the Royal Albert Hall in 1983. And they told that story very well. They say that you learn something new every day, and I certainly learnt something tonight. Buddy Holly wrote a song for the Everly Brothers and they turned it down. But actually a British rock band had a hit with it, and that hit was called Not Fade Away, and that was recorded by the Rolling Stones with Mick Jagger. I might get a strike from YouTube if I sing it. I can't sing it. And the other one that they did brilliantly was made a hit again in the 70s by a-ha, and it was Crying in the Rain. And if you heard Morgan Harkett singing it with a-ha, how stunningly beautiful and melodic that song was, and they really did it credit on the stage. Of course, included were some rock and roll classics, The drummer and bassist had their moments. All in all, I think that the audience participation could have been, they could have been more responsive. Maybe that's the audience here. I think they needed a little bit more feedback than they got. But as I say, I had to leave about 15 minutes early, and I missed the song that the tour is made of, and that's called Walk Right Back. And I'm really saddened to miss that. And I think that these would have got a rousing applause and would have requested an encore at the end. I think that the British audiences really love this. Now, there was merchandise for sale. I did see somebody wearing one of the t-shirts that was for sale. And I'm actually glad to say I bought CDs. Now, this is 2 CDs and I paid £18 for it, cash only. And I will tell you that the tour goes on into July, and I think they put extra dates on at Liverpool Empire. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was a really good night out, and I really encourage you to go and see it. I think you'll be very pleasantly surprised by how much music you know or remember, or hear music you've not heard before. And they did a really exquisite ballad called Ebony Eyes. Now, I'll look that song up to see who wrote that and who sang it and who had a hit with it, because it was stunningly beautiful. So for somebody that doesn't get to the theatre or to see live music very often, I really appreciated it. It was money well spent, it was very well organised. And on the way out, I had a chance to speak to some of the roadies that were waiting outside. And I said to them, if they performed as Phil and Don, like Ant and Dec you'd look at on the stage, the American guy, the guy that played Don, was really good, but he was a real dead ringer for Lonnie Donegan. And I said, tell him, he looks really like him. Tell him to look him up. The guy said, Rhodey said, I don't think he'll have got a clue who Lonnie Donegan is. And I said, no, but you should look him up. Because if they were able to put the story of skiffle and how much skiffle influenced music from the influences that came over from America, and how much skiffle influenced the music to come in Britain that was popular around the world, he could put together another stage show based on the music of Lonnie Donegan. It's never been done before. If you look back through my videos, when I went to the British Music Experience exhibition, which is a permanent exhibition in Liverpool by the Albert Dock, Lonnie Donegan does feature there. And I think that would be a tremendous way for him to go. I don't know what's next for this duo. I don't know what they've been on before. I don't know what they're going to be on in the future. But I can tell you at least 3 of those people, and that's the Phil and Don and the guy that played Chet Atkins and doubled up with Eddie Cochran, were brilliant. Their stage presence was brilliant and very, very talented. So, all in all, I hope you've enjoyed this little review. Take a look at it and go and see it if you can. But for me, this is Maggie, the Cheshire Crafter, with a cup of hot chocolate behind me that you can't see, but I'm going to enjoy that now. I'm going to enjoy playing my music when I get home. But for now, from Southport, I'm saying good night. Come back and see me soon, won't you? Bye.